Let us attempt some numerical examples on the topics covered so far. So this problem reads, for a double glass cover flat plate collector installed at Mumbai and with the given data, the data is given in the problem, calculate instantaneous efficiency and collector outlet temperature by 1. Calculating exact value of top loss coefficient by iterative method, and then evaluating top loss coefficient using empirical correlations. So here are the steps for calculating exact value of top loss coefficient by iterative method. Now this problem is simultaneously solved in Excel. So we will simultaneously discuss this problem in Excel calculation as well as with the. So this is the data given in the problem: location, standard time longitude, latitude, date 12th February, and day number becomes 43. Equation of time correction, this is at 12th February, then this is time. Surface azimuth, it is south facing collector, so surface azimuth equal to 0. Beam radiation intensity is given, IB 645, diffuse radiation intensity 142, length of the collector, width of the collector, length of absorber plate, width of the absorber plate, then thickness of the absorber plate 2 mm, thermal conductivity of aluminium, plate absorptivity epsilon p, number of glass covers 2 is given, then spacing between absorber plate and first glass cover 12 mm, spacing between first and second glass cover 12 mm, then tube center to center distance 34 mm, tube outer diameter DO is 11 mm, tube inner diameter 9 mm, glass cover emissivity absorptivity, that is epsilon c, is 0.88, average transmittance absorptance product tau alpha is given as 0.89, then water flow rate is 33 liters per hour, water side heat transfer coefficient HFI is given as 325, water inlet temperature 70 degrees Celsius, ambient temperature 36, back insulation thickness 90 mm, side insulation thickness is 50 mm, insulation thermal conductivity 0.05 watt per meter Kelvin, and wind speed. So this much data is given. Now we have to follow these steps while calculating the exact value of top loss coefficient. Our aim is to calculate the UL. So Kp is given, plate thermal conductivity 200 watt. So with this data, first find out M. So we have to start with the trial value of overall loss coefficient, which is 4 watt per meter square Kelvin, which we are starting with 4 watt per meter square Kelvin. So with the given data, find out the value of M. So this is root of UL by KPdP. This comes out to be 3.2. So these values will be in all trial values. Trial values corresponding to overall heat loss coefficient 4. Now with given value of W, tube spacing, DO, outer diameter of the tube, we can calculate the fin effectiveness using this expression. Then by knowing M and phi, we can find out the collector efficiency factor, which comes out to be, for the first iteration, it is 0.75. So in this, all this W is known, UL is 4, UL is known, W minus DO and all this. Here DI is made use of. DI is 9 mm. HFI is already given as 325. So with F dash can be calculated with this data. Then with CP, AP, CP is given 4180, CP specific heat of water, m dot is 33 liters per hour, it is given. AP is 1.4 by 0.755. AP is the aperture area or absorber area. So this is 1.057. UL we have already assumed. F dash calculated. So with these data we can calculate the value of FR, which comes out to be 0.68. Then next step, step 3, using Hauter-Villiers-Bliss equation, we can substitute all these values and find out the value of useful heat gain rate, QU. Okay, so in this, all these parameters are known to us. Say P, IT, FR, IT, we can calculate. How we can calculate IT? We'll see here. With this data given, the calculations are on this side. Declination, comes out declination angle is 14.32. Local apparent time we can find out, hour angle, collector tilt, surface azimuth. So cos theta z is 0.71. So we can calculate all this using here. Here these are the formulas which are used in calculating this. So cos theta z, then cos theta we can find out. So by knowing cos theta z and cos theta, we can find out RB. So RB is the ratio of cos theta by cos theta z. Then by knowing the tilt angle, so here collector tilt is known. So if the collector tilt is known, RD we can find out. Then RR also can be found out. So IT is equal to this: IB RB plus ID RD plus ID IG RR. So this is 902.53 watt per meter square. Come back to this. So IT is known here. All this tau alpha is given, everything is given. We can find out QU. Then on the basis of QU, we can determine the rate of heat loss. What is the rate of heat loss? So this is IT tau alpha AP minus QU. What is this for? What this first term indicate? First term indicates the input on the collector. What radiation is falling on the collector? It is IT into tau alpha is the optical losses into AP is the collector area. So this is the energy input on the collector minus useful heat gain rate by the collector. So input minus useful heat gain rate is equal to the rate of heat loss. This rate of heat loss in the step 4, we can write a different expression for rate of heat loss. Rate of heat loss can also be written as overall heat loss coefficient into TPM, this is mean plate temperature, minus ambient temperature, again into absorber area. Now in this expression, what is known to us? This QL is known to us, UL is known to us, TA is given as 36 degrees, AP we know, the only thing we don't know is TPM. So TPM we can determine from this expression. Now in step 5, we have to assume cover temperatures. There are two covers given. It is a double glazing collector. So TC1 is the first cover and TC2 is the second cover. First cover is near to the absorber plate and second cover is the top cover. So we assume TC1 and TC2 cover temperatures. So once we assume TC1, TC2, we can find out mean temperature TM1. This here it should be equal to TM1 and TM2, two mean temperatures on the basis of cover temperatures we can find out. At these mean temperatures, we will read the properties of air from the tables. What properties we will need to read? Thermal conductivity, Prandtl number, kinematic viscosity. So with these properties, we can find out Rayleigh number in both cases. Of course, it is RA and cos beta is modified Rayleigh number. So Rayleigh number for the case of plate to cover 1, glass cover 1, and then Rayleigh number for cover 1 to cover 2. So in both cases we find out the Rayleigh number, and the data is given in the book that corresponding to a Rayleigh number, the Nusselt number can be found out. So corresponding to the value of above Rayleigh numbers, we can find out the Nusselt number. Now Nusselt number is given as H. This is a convective heat transfer coefficient from plate to cover 1 into L is the tube, L is the spacing between the plate and first glass cover. for Nu1, Nusselt number 1, and Ke1 is the thermal conductivity of air. In second case, Nu2, it is convective heat transfer coefficient from cover 1 to cover 2, and L is the spacing between cover 1 and cover 2, which is given, and this is thermal conductivity of air. So with this, Nusselt number is known to us, Ka is known to us, L is known to us. So HPC1 and HC1C2 can be determined. So we know this HPC1 and HC1C2. And then convective heat transfer coefficient from top cover to air can also be found out using this correlation. So this is written in terms of wind speed. So wind speed is given as 1.25 meters per second. So we can find out this value. So HPC1, HC1C2 and HW are known. So using these values, we can substitute these values in the expressions which we have already covered in our earlier expressions. It is a rate. So substitute the obtained values in the heat loss equations. So what does this heat loss equation indicate? They are heat loss per unit area from plate to glass cover. So first is heat loss from plate to glass cover 1. Okay. So this is convective part of heat loss and this is radiative part of heat loss. Here TPM mean plate temperature, glass cover 1 temperature. So this is a glass cover 1 temperature, TPM, TC1. This is emissivity of the plate, emissivity of the cover. So we can, everything is known here. So we can calculate this value. In second case, rate of heat loss per unit area from glass cover 1 to glass cover 2. This is again a convective term. This convection coefficient we know. Cover temperatures and all these cover temperatures and emissivities. Now here it is emissivity of plate and cover. Here it should be cover. So it becomes 2 by epsilon c. So here it is epsilon p. There should not be epsilon p, epsilon c. So with this we can evaluate this. Then rate of heat loss from cover to ambient. This is first convective term. HW we already calculated. Cover, top cover temperature, ambient temperature, top cover temperature and sky temperature. Sky temperature, as we already know, it is less 6 degrees Celsius less than the ambient temperature. Now we get 3 values of heat losses. These 3 values may be different. Now we have to adjust, we have to go on using the trial values of TC1 and TC2 till all the above loss quantities become equal. Okay, so I will demonstrate this with Excel. This is the process which we have discussed stepwise. Begin with the assumed value of UL, overall heat loss coefficient. Okay, then calculate FR. Then QU is calculated here, Q loss is calculated, TPM we can calculate here, and then T sky is known, first cover temperature, this is the assumed temperature initially, then mean temperature, K thermal conductivity of air is read as this, then Prandtl number corresponding to 85 degrees Celsius, kinematic viscosity is read here, then RAL cos beta is evaluated here, and then corresponding to this value Nusselt number is 1. So corresponding to Nusselt number 1, HP plate to cover, convective transfer coefficient from plate to cover is 2.5 watt per meter square Kelvin. And then from similar calculation, with similar calculations we get convective heat transfer coefficient from cover 1 to cover 2 is 2.38. Value of HW is same, it is the single value, it is 11.75 corresponding to the wind speed velocity. Now the values obtained heat losses QA, PC1, C1, C2 and C2A values are obtained here. Okay, now the difference between PC1 and C1, we need to match these values equal. These values should be more or less equal. Now this calculation shows, suppose we start with some other value. Say now this 4.89 is the final answer which we have got. See here how to proceed. Now I will change the value of this first cover temperatures to say 365. So if I change this value to 365, these differences will change. So the first difference is minus 189 and the other difference is 91. If I change the value to say 335, then this difference will change. Okay, so I have to adjust this difference to reduce this difference. Okay, so I will reduce this difference to a final value which already I have got, 325. Okay, so now this difference is less than 1, minus 0.47. This difference is negligible. So we can say that these TC1 and TC2 values are correct values. Now from these values, the average, I will find out the average of this Q by average loss, rate of heat loss, and from the average rate of heat loss we can come back again here to step 7. With correct value of TC1 and TC2, evaluate new value of UL. Now here new value of UL is evaluated, okay, which uses this expression. So now new value of top loss coefficient we will get as 4.11, and new value of UL, which is top loss plus bottom loss plus side loss, is 4.84. Now this we have to match with our earlier assumed value, which is 4.89. Up to a first decimal places it is sufficiently correct. So this is the acceptable value. So the value of UL as 4.8 we can take is acceptable. Now if 4.8 is the overall heat loss coefficient, then in that what will be the top loss coefficient? The top loss coefficient is 4.11. So this is the exact value of top loss coefficient calculated by iteration. I will show you what is the value of side loss and bottom loss. So this is a bottom loss coefficient. We can see here the insulation thickness K upon del. So this comes out to be the bottom loss and this comes out to be the side loss. So if you subtract these two losses from here, you will get the exact value of top loss coefficient. Now this exact value of top loss coefficient is 4.11, and then top loss coefficient is also calculated using Malhotra correlation. So here the calculation is shown. Same data. Number of glass covers 2. Now this is Malhotra equation. So number of glass covers 2, spacing and everything it is entered here, and the calculation here it shows 4.06 for a given TPM. Okay, so top loss coefficient value using Malhotra correlation is 4.06. So if we compare the exact value with this, so the percentage error between the exact value and calculated value comes out to be 1.15. So it is convenient and fast to calculate the top loss coefficient by the correlation. You can see the complexity of the iteration here. So rather than going for always exact calculation, it is reasonably accurate to go for a correlation. So this is just for the demonstration. This calculation, these iterative calculations have been done just for the demonstration of complexity of the procedure. So the value of UL, UT, top loss coefficient, obtained with Malhotra relation is 4.06. So the error is 1.15, which is negligible. So in the next step, like we can see here, in the next part, we will calculate the top loss coefficient and then go for instantaneous efficiency and other values, because there will not be much difference. Here. So the instantaneous efficiency value can be calculated using this expression. In this expression, FR tau alpha is already known to us, FRUL is already known to us, TFI is already known to us, APIT we can calculate. So instantaneous efficiency we can calculate using these values, and then collector outlet temperature may be estimated using this following expression, that is m dot C. M dot is known, 33 liters per hour. CP is known, TFO is not known, this is determined, and TFI is 70 degrees. So if you evaluate one by one all the parameters like IT, IBRV. So this is shown just for the sake of your record. So IT comes out to be 902. Then evaluation of UT using Malhotra relation, it comes out to be 4.53. And then F dash collector heat removal factor 0.7. Instantaneous efficiency comes out to be 51%. And then from this you can find out the useful heat gain rate to be 476.7 watt. And then using that expression, the fluid outlet temperature comes out to be 82.4 degrees Celsius. This is separately demonstrated in a Excel sheet here. So problem 1, this is the data, all the data given in the problem, and then these are the calculations on this side. These are the calculations done in this side. So fluid outlet temperature comes out to be 82.4, and then useful heat gain rate is QU 476, instantaneous efficiency 51%. So this is the first problem. Second problem, calculate variation of instantaneous efficiency with fluid inlet temperature in the range of 20 degrees to 80 degrees Celsius and at tau alpha transmittance absorptance product of 0.75 with number of glass covers 2 and overall loss coefficient 4 watt per meter square Kelvin. Okay. So this is the first case, we have to plot the variation. And in the second case, calculate again the variation of instantaneous efficiency with TFI 2280 again. But here, transmittance absorptance product is increased to 0.89. And glass covers have been reduced from 2 to 1. And overall loss coefficient is increased to 7.5. Now, and in both cases, we have to calculate collector stagnation temperature in both the cases. And we have to comment on the changes in the result. Now procedure with UL is given in the first case. So this is a 2A. So we will solve this first. So with all this UL, KP, MK, M we can evaluate as 4. Then phi, fin effectiveness is using this expression comes out to be 0.96. And then with all these data given, F dash comes out to be 0.85. The CP and everything, collector heat removal factor is 0.85. And then with tau alpha, TFI, we can determine efficiency values because everything is known here. We can determine the efficiency values. I will show you this variation of calculation. This is a problem to a data given. This is a data given, number of glass covers 2. Transmittance absorptance products 0.75, water inlet temperature is this. So we can go on changing. I will show you here. If I change the water inlet temperature to say 40, then I get the value of instantaneous efficiency to be 62.05. So corresponding to 40, 62.05. Like this, I go on varying the value from 20 to 80 degrees Celsius of TFI and get the efficiency values here. Okay, so the efficiency values are, so these are TFI values and these are efficiency. And collector fluid stagnation temperature comes out to be 207 in this case. In the second case where UL has increased, we can again find out the values of M, phi and F dash. F dash is 0.78, FR is 0.78 then determine the efficiency values here. Again, these values are calculated here in the second part. So these are the values. If I change these values, say at 50 degrees Celsius, what is the efficiency? 65.03. So at 50, 65.03. Like this, and this TFI goes on changing, the efficiency values will also be varied. And the collector stagnation temperature is 138.6 here. So this data is shown here. So as TFI goes on increasing, efficiency goes on decreasing. So in both cases, the characteristics show like this. In the first case, glass cover are 2, overall heat loss coefficient is 4 watt per meter square Kelvin, tau alpha is 0.75, and stagnation temperature 207.5. So in this case, the variation of efficiency is this. As the collector fluid inlet temperature goes on increasing, the efficiency values goes on decreasing. The trend is same for both. Okay, for the second case where UL is 7.5 watt per meter square Kelvin and tau alpha is 0.9, the efficiency goes on decreasing. The trend is again same. But then what are the comments? The comments are like this. Efficiencies of the collector in the given range of fluid inlet temperatures are higher in the second case as compared to that in the first case. You can see here. In the second case, the efficiencies are higher as compared to the first case. So this increase may be attributed to the higher value of FR tau alpha. In the first case, the FR tau alpha values are 0.85 into 0.75, that is 0.63. And in the second case, the FR tau alpha is 0.69. So higher value. That's why the efficiency value is this thermal efficiency and optical efficiency. The product of thermal and optical efficiency is higher. So obviously the values of efficiency, collector efficiency, we will be getting is higher. The second efficiency curve is steeper than the first. You can see second. So this second efficiency curve is steeper. You can see the slopes. So this curve is steeper than this curve. So what does this indicate? The second efficiency curve is steeper than the first. The reduction in the efficiency of the second collector over the given range is 14.6%. So the reduction rate of efficiency in the second collector is 14.6% as against 8.5%. Okay, so this situation reflects a fast degradation of performance in the second collector. So this indicates the fast degradation of the performance in the second case. Now, the rate of reduction in efficiency is slower, that is 8.5% in first case, thus making first collector less responsive to the surrounding changes. So the first collector will prove to be consistently performing, though a less efficient collector as compared against second. Okay. Now fluid stagnation temperature is higher in the first case due to lower value of overall loss coefficient. You can see here the overall loss coefficient is 4 in the first case, and in the second case it is 7.5. So loss rate is higher here. So the stagnation temperature is less. Here stagnation temperature is higher. So we can conclude we can make a small inference here that the higher stagnation temperature does not indicate a higher efficiency collector. Okay. So coming to the next comment, in the demand events of TFI, in certain demand events where TFI is changing, collector fluid inlet temperature is changing frequently, first collector is suitable because it is less responsive to the changes in the fluid inlet temperature. So in the demand events of TFI changing frequently, first collector is suitable. And in those type of demands where TFI is not varying frequently, second collector must be preferred. So it means that if a collector TFI is almost in the small range here, then this type of collector will be used. If collector fluid inlet temperature is always varying over a wide range, then this will not be a good collector because the variation of efficiency over the same range is higher. On the other hand, if the variation in collector feed inlet temperature is very high, this is more or less giving a consistent performance. And then what is the difference here? Difference in the maximum efficiency. This we can see. Maximum efficiency is 69.6 here, and then 63.6, 63.7. So 63.7 and 69. It is just 6 degrees, 6% of efficiency difference. So it is not much difference. So in these situations, we can use these collectors. So with this, we will continue with other types of low temperature collectors like evacuated tube collectors. Then we will follow testing of collectors as per Indian standard, and then design and optimization of low temperature solar thermal systems. Thank you.